Evan walked through the silent hallway of the abandoned space outpost, his boots echoing against the metal floor. The lights above flickered weakly, giving the place a broken, half-alive feeling. Dust floated in the air like old memories, and every corner felt like it was watching him. He had followed a distress signal here repeated, weak, but clearly coming from this station. Still, the moment he stepped inside, he felt something was wrong. Something terrible had happened. Burn marks covered the walls. Long claw scratches ran across the floor. Doors were broken as if someone or something had torn them open. The smell of burned wires and smoke filled the air. Evan kept his hand on his blaster, slowly moving forward, listening for any sound. But the only thing he heard was the low hum of the dying station. Then he heard it, not a loud sound. Not a scream, just breathing. Very soft breathing. Evan froze. The sound came from somewhere behind the fallen metal panels near the communication room. It was the kind of breathing a person makes when they are trying not to cry. He took a slow step toward the noise, his heart beating harder. Someone was still alive, someone who sent the distress signal. "Hello?" He called gently. "I'm not here to hurt you." No answer. Only a tiny gasp, like fear tightening a throat. Evan knelt down and slowly moved a piece of broken metal aside. At first, he saw nothing but darkness. Then two glowing eyes stared back at him, big, shining, and full of fear. A small figure curled up tightly under the debris, shaking like a leaf in a storm. It was a girl, but not a human girl. Her skin was pale blue, almost silver under the flickering lights. Her hair was long, tangled, and soft like fine threads. She looked painfully thin, her arms like sticks, her cheeks hollow. She hugged her knees to her chest and trembled as she watched him. Evan didn't move. He didn't want to scare her more. "It's okay," he said softly. "I came because of your distress signal. I'm here to help." But the girl didn't believe him. She pressed her back harder against the wall and shook her head wildly. Her breathing turned fast and broken. She looked ready to run, but too weak to even stand. Evan slowly set his blaster on the floor to show he meant no harm. "I won't hurt you," he repeated. "You're safe with me." For a long moment, the girl didn't move. She only stared at him with those shining eyes full of fear and hunger. Evan noticed her arms. They were covered in small bruises. She hadn't eaten in days. Maybe longer. Then, suddenly, the station shook. A deep, rumbling vibration ran through the floor. Dust fell from the ceiling. The girl let out a tiny cry and covered her ears. The station was unstable. Or maybe something was walking through it. Evan stood and looked down the hallway. Darkness stretched like an endless tunnel. The rumble came again, closer this time. Something else was in the outpost. He knelt again, voice firm but gentle. "We need to leave. Right now." The girl didn't respond, but her eyes filled with fresh fear. Whatever was shaking the station. She knew it. And she was terrified of it. Another rumble. A metallic screech. Evan didn't wait. He reached forward carefully and held out his hands. "Please," he whispered. "Let me help you." The girl hesitated for several seconds. Then she slowly, shakily reached out her hand. The moment her fingers touched his, she moved suddenly, almost desperately, and wrapped her thin arms tightly around his wrist. She clung to him with surprising strength, pressing her face against his sleeve. She took a slow breath, and then whispered something so soft, Evan almost didn't hear it. "You smell like home." Evan froze. Home? He didn't understand. He didn't need to. The girl was trembling so hard her whole body shook. She held onto him like he was the only safe thing in the universe. Another roar echoed through the outpost. Evan lifted the girl in his arms. She weighed almost nothing. She buried her face in his chest, gripping his jacket tightly. Whatever chased her had destroyed this station, and now it was coming for them. Hold on, Evan said, turning toward the exit. I'm getting you out of here. The girl didn't speak again. She only held him tighter, as if letting go would end everything in behind them. Something growled in the dark. Evan ran down the hallway with the alien girl in his arms. Her small hands clutched his jacket so tightly that her fingers turned white. She was shaking, but she did not cry. She only hid her face in his chest, breathing fast and scared. Evan kept his grip firm, trying to move without making noise. The station was breaking apart, lights dying one by one, sending the halls into deeper darkness. Behind him the sound came again, a heavy metal thump. A dragging sound. A low growl that felt too close. Whatever creature had destroyed this place was awake. And it was following the scent of the girl. Evan's boots slid on the cracked floor as he turned into another corridor. His heart was racing, but his mind stayed sharp. He had survived dangerous missions before. But this was different. This time, he carried a life in his arms, fragile, hungry, terrified. The girl lifted her head a little. Her glowing eyes looked around in fear. It found us. She whispered. Her voice was so tiny, so weak, that Evan felt a sudden surge of protectiveness. It's okay, he told her. I won't let anything take you. She stared at him for a moment, as if trying to believe him. Then she hid her face again. Evan moved faster. He reached the main cargo bay. One more hallway, and he would reach his ship docked outside. His small shuttle wasn't made for battle, but it was fast enough to escape the station before it collapsed. But when he reached the cargo bay door, it sparked and refused to open. Broken. Great. He muttered. He put the girl down gently beside the wall. She tried to stand, but her legs shook too much, and she slid back down, looking ashamed. I'm sorry, she whispered. You didn't do anything wrong, Evan said quickly. You're hurt and starving. Let me handle this. He pried open the control panel and tried to reroute power manually. Sparks jumped from the wires. The station groaned around them, another sign it wouldn't stay stable for long. The girl flinched at every sound. Her glowing eyes never left the dark hallway behind them. She could feel the creature getting closer. Evan worked fast, fingers moving through the cables. He could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. He just needed a few more seconds. The growl returned. Much closer. Evan's body froze for a second. The girl gasped and grabbed the back of his jacket, her small hand shaking. It's here. He turned slowly. At the end of the hallway, something large moved in the shadows. A shape, a long, wrong shape. Sharp claws scraped against the metal floor. A deep, rumbling noise came from its chest like a beast hungry for more destruction. Evan stepped in front of the girl, blocking her with his body. He raised his blaster slowly. The creature crawled forward, its eyes glowing a sickening yellow. Stay behind me, Evan whispered. The girl pressed herself against the wall, hugging her knees, whispering something in her language, a soft, trembling chant. The creature let out a roar that shook dust from the ceiling. Evan fired. The blast hit the creature's shoulder, sending sparks and burned flesh into the air. It screeched with anger and charged. Evan fired again, stepping backward, trying to keep distance. The creature slammed into broken metal crates, tearing them apart like paper. Evan grabbed the girl again, pulling her close. The cargo bay door sparked. Then it opened halfway. Good enough, Evan shouted. He ducked under the half-open door, pulling the girl with him. The creature slammed against the door from the other side, shaking the metal violently. Close. Close, close. Evan yelled at the control panel. The door moved slowly. Too slowly. The creature pushed its claws under the door, forcing it up. The girl screamed for the first time, a small, broken sound full of terror. Evan slammed his elbow into the manual lock lever. The door dropped like a hammer. A sharp screech filled the room as the creature's claws were cut off by the falling door. Black blood splattered across the metal. The creature roared on the other side. Furious and in pain. Silence followed. Evan picked up the trembling girl and ran toward his ship. She held onto him tightly, tears finally rolling down her thin cheeks. "You saved me," she whispered. Evan opened the shuttle door and placed her in the seat. "I'm not done saving you yet," he said. He jumped into the pilot's seat and started the engines. The station shook harder than before, alarms blaring. Behind them, something massive slammed against the cargo bay door again. "Hold on," Evan told her. The girl reached out and grabbed his arm once more. "You still smell like home," she whispered, voice soft and full of hope. Evan didn't know what that meant, but he knew one thing: he would protect her. No matter what. The shuttle shook as it pulled away from the collapsing space outpost. Evan kept one hand on the controls and one hand steadying the alien girl beside him. She sat curled up in the seat, her knees close to her chest, her thin fingers gripping the safety straps tightly. Her glowing eyes stared at the floor. Fear still clung to her like a shadow that refused to leave. Outside the window, the ruined outpost drifted farther away. Pieces of metal broke off and floated into space. A final explosion lit the darkness for a few seconds. And then the station was gone, swallowed by silence. The girl flinched at the bright flash, then lowered her head even more. "You're safe now," Evan said gently. "It can't hurt you anymore." She didn't answer. She only hugged herself tighter. Evan reached into the small supply cabinet and took out a protein bar and a pouch of water. He placed them softly in her lap. Her eyes widened. She stared at the food like it was something magical, or something she was afraid to touch. "It's okay," Evan said. "It's for you." Slowly, with trembling hands, she opened the water pouch and took a tiny sip. Her body reacted like she had forgotten how to drink properly. Then she took a second sip, and a third, and soon she was drinking it with quiet desperation. The protein bar didn't last long either. She ate as if she hadn't tasted food in days. Evan didn't interrupt. He only watched, feeling a heavy knot grow in his chest. How long had she been alone? When she finally finished, she leaned back and let out a shaky breath. Her cheeks had a bit more color now, but she still looked painfully weak. "What's your name?" Evan asked softly. For a moment, it seemed she wouldn't speak. Then, in a small voice, "Lyra." Evan smiled gently. "Lyra. That's a beautiful name." Lyra looked at him with surprise, as if no one had ever complimented her before. But then her eyes filled with guilt and fear again. "You shouldn't have saved me," she whispered. "They will come for you now." "Who?" Evan asked. Lyra hugged herself tighter. "The hunters." Evan frowned. "The creature from the station?" She shook her head quickly. "No. That one was only a tracker. The hunters are worse. They took my colony. They took everyone." Evan felt a chill run down his spine. "What do they want with you?" he asked quietly. Lyra hesitated for a long time. She stared at her hands, twisting her fingers together nervously. Inside her chest, fear battled with shame. Then she whispered, "They want what is inside my mind." Evan leaned forward slightly. "Inside your mind?" Lyra nodded slowly. "My kind. We are born with memory seeds. They hold our history, our culture, our maps, our science. Everything our people learned, gathered in small pieces. Inside children." Evan stared at her, stunned. "Why children?" "Because adults can be captured," she said softly. "But children, we hide, we run, we survive. That is our tradition. But this time, the hunters found us too fast." Her voice cracked. "I ran," she whispered. "They caught everyone else." Evan's heart tightened. Lyra's shoulders shook as she tried to hold back tears. She wiped her eyes quickly, almost afraid to let him see her cry. "I didn't want to run," she said. "But they told me." They told me I must. I carry the last seed. Evan didn't speak. He couldn't. The weight of her words hit him like a punch. She wasn't just a scared child, she was the last living memory of her entire people. And the hunters want that seed. Evan said softly. Lyra nodded. If they take it, my people will be gone forever. Silence filled the shuttle. Only the hum of engines broke the quiet. Slowly, Lyra reached out and touched Evan's sleeve. You should leave me somewhere, she whispered. Hide me. Run away. If they find me with you, they will kill you. Evan looked at her for a long moment. Then he shook his head. No, he said firmly. I'm not leaving you. Lyra's eyes widened in shock. But why? I am trouble. I am danger. Because you're alive, Evan said. Because you need help. Because someone has to care. Lyra's lips trembled. Her eyes filled with tears again, but these tears were different, softer, confused, warm. No one has ever said that to me. She whispered. Not even before the hunters came. Evan reached out and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You're not alone anymore. Lyra stared at him, like she was seeing something impossible. Then she moved slowly, carefully, as if afraid he might push her away, and leaned against him. Her small head rested against his arm. She closed her eyes and breathed in softly. You still smell like home, she whispered. And for the first time since he met her, her voice sounded peaceful. The shuttle drifted through quiet space, leaving the destroyed outpost far behind. Evan set the ship on auto course while Lyra rested beside him. She still leaned lightly against his arm, her eyes half closed, breathing slow and tired. For the first time, she didn't look like she was about to run or break. She looked safe. Evan didn't move, afraid she would pull away if he did. She had gone through too much. A moment of peace was something she deserved. After a while, Lyra opened her eyes again. She looked at the stars passing by, her expression soft and distant. My people used to travel the stars too, she whispered. Before the hunters came. Evan turned slightly toward her. What were they like? Your people? Lyra blinked slowly, as if remembering something far away. Kind, she said. Gentle. We did not fight much. We stayed on quiet worlds. We cared for nature. We listened to the wind. We learned from everything. Her voice trembled. We thought the galaxy would be kind too. Evan felt his chest tighten again. How could a peaceful race survive in a universe that often rewarded violence? What about the memory seeds? Evan asked softly. Is that how your culture continued? Lyra nodded. Yes. Every child carried one seed. It grew with us. When we became adults, the elder would connect to the seed. All our memories, our thoughts, our learning. They became part of the great memory. She touched her chest lightly, right above her heart. I hold the last seed now. The hunters know this. Evan leaned forward. Is that why they chased you? Lyra's fingers curled around her knees. Yes, they want to use the knowledge. For war, for power, for control. She swallowed hard and looked up at him. If they take it, they take everything my people were. Evan didn't know what to say. How do you comfort someone carrying the weight of an entire civilization? He reached out gently and handed her another water pouch. Lyra accepted it with both hands, sipping carefully. After a moment, she said, Why? Why did you not leave me? I am trouble. I bring danger to you. Evan gave a small smile. Because it was the right thing to do. Lyra's brows furrowed softly. The right thing? Yes, Evan said. When someone is in danger, you help. When someone is scared, you protect. It doesn't matter what species they are. Lyra stared at him like the concept was unfamiliar. In my colony, she whispered, we helped each other. But no one else out there helped us. Not even when we asked. Evan frowned. No one responded to your distress signals? Some did, she said. But when they arrived and saw the hunters, they turned away. They left us. Evan exhaled slowly, anger rising in him. So many times in the galaxy, people chose safety over doing what was right. I won't be like them, he said quietly. Lyra studied him with her glowing eyes, curious. Cautious but warmer than before. You are strange, she murmured. Evan raised an eyebrow. Strange? Yes, she said. Humans are not known to my people. But I can sense something in you. Something warm. Something steady. When I touched you, I felt it. Evan chuckled softly. That why you said I smell like home? Lyra nodded, embarrassed. It is a scent we sense with our hearts, not our noses. A feeling. A comfort. She hesitated, then continued. Only a few beings in the universe give that scent. Usually family. Sometimes friends, but you. You have it strongly. Evan felt a wave of emotion move through him. He didn't know what he had done to earn such trust from her. But he wouldn't betray it. You're safe with me, he said again. Lyra's lips curved into the smallest, shyest smile he had seen since he found her. Suddenly, the ship beeped a warning sound. Evan looked at the radar. A signal. A ship. Lyra's smile faded instantly. What is that? She whispered, fear creeping back into her voice. Evan checked the screen, jaw tightening. It's a long-range scan. Something is following us. Lyra's breath caught. The hunters. Not yet, Evan said quickly. It's far away. Could be anything. But Lyra knew. She hugged herself and stared at the radar like she was staring at her own doom. Evan turned to her. Listen to me, he said firmly. I promise to protect you. I meant it. Lyra looked at him, tears gathering in her eyes. You will get hurt because of me, she whispered. I'll take that risk, Evan said. You're not alone anymore. We're in this together. For a moment, the fear in Lyra's eyes melted into something else, something warmer. Then she leaned closer, her voice soft as a breath. Thank you, Evan. The trust between them settled like a fragile but growing light. But outside the ship, something was already closing in. The alarm kept beeping in the quiet shuttle, each sound sharp like a warning whisper. Evan stared at the radar screen, watching a small red dot appear at the very edge of the scanner. It was distant, but moving fast. Too fast to be friendly, too direct to be random. Lyra sat frozen in her seat. Her glowing eyes did not blink. Her body had returned to a small, tight curl of fear. It's them, she whispered. The hunters found us. Evan didn't answer right away. He didn't want to scare her. But he could not lie either. The red dot was gaining speed. He switched off the autocourse and took full control of the ship. How far are they? Lyra asked, her voice shaking. Far enough, Evan said calmly. We have time. But inside, he felt the pressure rising. The hunters had advanced tracking tech. If they caught her scent at the outpost, they might follow it through hyperspace. Lyra clasped her hands tightly. They will not stop, never. They do not leave targets alive. Well, Evan said, gripping the controls, they'll learn something new today. Lyra looked at him, confused. Learn what? That humans don't run from bullies, he said with a small grin. But the truth was more complicated. Humans did run sometimes. Evan had run from many things in his life. But he wasn't running now. Not from this. Not with Lyra in danger. The ship beeped again, this time louder. The red dot had grown bigger. Closer. Lyra gasped, pulling her knees to her chest. They are almost here. Evan quickly changed course and pushed the thrusters to maximum. The shuttle shot forward, stars stretching into long lines through the viewing window. The engines hummed louder than before. Hold on tight, Evan said. Lyra grabbed the armrest tightly. Her fingers trembling, the hunter's ship appeared behind them, small but fast, with a sharp angular design like the claw of a bird. It was black and silent, blending into the void. Only its glowing red engines gave away its speed. Lyra's breathing turned shallow. That is one of their scout ships. They use it to chase children. Evan felt anger burn in his chest. Not today, they don't. He rolled the shuttle sharply to the right, diving between drifting asteroids. The rocks spun past the ship, some as large as houses, some small as stones. The hunter's ship followed with terrifying precision. It glided through the asteroid field like it had flown there 1,000 times. Evan yelled as the shuttle scraped past a large rock. Sparks burst across the window. Lyra cried out, grabbing Evan's sleeve. "Please do not let them take me." "I won't," Evan shouted. "I promise." The hunter's ship fired a bolt of red energy. It exploded behind them, the shockwave shaking the shuttle so hard Lyra nearly fell from her seat. Evan steadied the controls, fighting the ship's rattling frame. "Are you okay?" he asked her quickly. Lyra nodded weakly, though her face was pale. Evan pulled the shuttle into a tight turn around a spinning asteroid. The hunter's ship followed again, closer than before, too close. Lyra whispered something in her language, a trembling chant of fear and hope. "Don't be scared," Evan said, not taking his eyes off the controls. "I'm here. They won't reach you, but why are you helping me?" She cried softly. "Everyone else ran from us. Everyone else left us behind." "Because I'm not everyone else," Evan said. The radar beeped again. The hunter ship was almost on top of them. Evan's heart pounded. He had one option left, dangerous, but maybe their only chance. He glanced at Lyra. "Do you trust me?" Lyra looked into his eyes. Her voice shook, but she whispered, "Yes." Evan hit the emergency hyperjump switch. The shuttle lurched violently as space tore open in front of them. Stars twisted into blinding spirals. The hunter ship fired one last shot, but it missed them by inches. With a deafening crack, the shuttle shot into hyperspace. Silence fell. Lyra held onto Evan's arm like her life depended on it. Her eyes were wide and wet, but she wasn't crying. She was shaking too much for tears. They will follow," she whispered. "I know," Evan said. "But we bought time, and I'll use every second to keep you safe." Lyra's grip loosened slightly. She leaned against him again, exhausted. "Why?" she asked softly. "Why risk so much for me?" Evan didn't answer right away. He looked at her fragile form, her trembling hands, her eyes full of fear yet full of trust. "Because someone should have helped your people," he said. "And I'm not letting the galaxy fail you again." Lyra's breath caught. She whispered, "You still smell like home." Outside, hyperspace stretched endlessly, and somewhere behind them, the hunters followed. The shuttle sped through the endless blue tunnel of hyperspace, glowing streaks of light sliding past the windows like rushing rivers. The engines hummed softly, steady but strained, and the whole ship felt tighter than before, like it knew danger still followed. Evan kept his hands on the controls. Even though the ship autopilot had taken over for the jump, he needed to feel in control. He needed to be ready for anything. Lyra sat beside him, curled up and breathing quietly. She wasn't trembling anymore, but she still looked fragile, like a small candle in a storm. After a long silence, she whispered, "They will find us again. The hunters do not stop." "I know," Evan admitted. "But we're not helpless. We have a head start." Lyra looked down at her hands. "They are tracking me." "Not you." "Why?" "Because of the memory seed." Lyra hesitated. Her fingers touched the spot above her heart again, where she had pointed before. She took a shaky breath. "It's more than a seed," she said softly. "There is something else inside me." Evan turned toward her slowly. "Something else?" Lyra nodded, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim cabin. My people. We were peaceful, yes. But long ago, we created something powerful to protect our worlds. A crystal. A living star crystal. A piece of pure energy. Evan frowned. Energy, like a power core? No, Lyra whispered. Much stronger. Strong enough to power an entire planet. Strong enough to destroy one, too. Evan felt a cold wave move through him. And the hunters want it. Lyra nodded. They want everything. The memory seed holds knowledge. But the crystal... She closed her eyes. It gives power. Too much power. Evan leaned closer. Your people hid it? Yes, Lyra said. Only our children could carry it. Only the children's bodies could protect it. It sleeps inside us until we are grown. Then the elders remove it safely. She looked away, her voice breaking. But my elders died before they could remove mine. Evan felt a sharp, painful twist in his chest. So you're carrying it right now? Inside you? Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, and if the hunters take me, they will use it for war. Evan exhaled deeply, running a hand through his hair. This was worse than he imagined. Lyra wasn't just important, she was the last guardian of something, powerful enough to reshape the galaxy. No wonder they won't give up, Evan muttered. Lyra's shoulders sagged. I am a weapon to them. A treasure. A target. That is why I said you should not stay with me. Evan stared at her, shocked by how calm she sounded, like she had accepted that she was a burden, not a person. He shook his head. Lyra, he said firmly, listen to me. You are not a weapon. You are not a burden. You're a child who lost everything. And you deserve to live without fear. Lyra looked at him with wide eyes, almost confused. Why do you say such kind things? No one else has. Because someone has to, Evan said. And because I mean it. Lyra blinked hard, fighting tears. For a moment, she didn't speak. Then she whispered, my people said humans were wild. Unpredictable. Dangerous. Evan chuckled under his breath. We can be, sometimes. But you are. Different, Lyra said. Warm, strong, you do not leave others behind. No, Evan said quietly. I don't. She watched him for a long moment. Then she leaned closer, her small hand reaching out to touch his arm. When I touch you, she whispered, I feel something. Safe, I feel warmth. I feel home. Evan swallowed, feeling a deep weight settle inside him, a responsibility he accepted without hesitation. You are safe with me, he said. I won't let them take you. Lyra looked down at her lap. But the hunters are not alone. Someone else is leading them. Evan stiffened. Who? Lyra shivered. A man, a human man. Evan's heart stopped for a second. A human? Lyra nodded slowly. He betrayed my people. He helped the hunters find us. He's the one who wants the crystal the most. What does he want with it? Evan asked, voice hard. Lyra's expression darkened with fear. He wants to rule. To conquer. To burn worlds until only his rule remains. Evan clenched his jaw. Rage filled him like fire. And he will keep coming, Lyra whispered. Again and again. Evan turned off the autopilot and took control again. Let him come, Evan said. Because before he reaches you, he'll have to get through me. Lyra watched him with wide, shining eyes. You are strange, Evan, she whispered. Strange. But good. And in the deep, glowing tunnel of hyperspace, the truth settled between them. Lyra was not just important. She was the key to everything. And Evan had become her shield. Evan dropped the shuttle out of hyperspace near a quiet, empty moon. Its silver surface reflected the distant stars' light. No cities, no satellites, no ships. Just silence. He chose this place on purpose. If the hunters caught up, they would not hurt any innocent lives here. Lyra sat beside him, curled small in her seat, watching the pale moon through the window. She whispered, Will we hide here?" "No," Evan said. "We'll make our stand here." Lyra stiffened. "But you said you are only one human. They have soldiers. They have weapons. They have him." "I know," Evan said. "And I'm not running." She looked at him with trembling eyes. "You cannot fight all of them alone." Evan smiled softly. "I can fight long enough to keep you safe." Lyra looked down, her small hands shaking. "I do not want you to die for me." "I'm not planning on dying," Evan said. "But if I have to choose between my life and yours, I choose yours." Lyra's breath caught. A tear slid down her cheek. No one had ever said they would protect her before. Not like this. The shuttle landed gently on the moon's surface. A cloud of silver dust rose, then settled. The radar beeped. Lyra gasped. "They found us." Evan checked the screen. 2 ships. Fast. Closing in. He stood and reached for his gear, a small blaster, a knife, and his emergency shield pad. Not much, but enough to fight. Lyra grabbed his sleeve. "Please, do not go out. They will kill you." Evan placed a hand gently over hers. "I promised I'd protect you." "A promise means something." Lyra's voice trembled. "I am scared." Evan knelt to meet her eyes. "Then stay here. Stay low, and remember, you're not alone anymore." Before she could answer, the ship shook. A hunter dropship landed beside them with a heavy metallic thud. Dust flew everywhere. Evan stepped outside. The air was thin and cold. The ground glittered like crushed glass. The hunter's ship opened, revealing tall armored creatures, twisted and sharp, like nightmares carved from metal and bone. Then a man stepped out behind them, a human man. He wore dark armor and a cold smile. His eyes were empty, like someone who enjoyed destroying things he never deserved to touch. "Evan Mason," the man said. "You're making my job difficult." Evan raised his blaster. "You hurt her people. You won't hurt her." The man laughed softly. "That girl is carrying power beyond your imagination. She belongs to me." Evan stepped forward. "She belongs to no one." The man's smile faded. "Very well." He pointed his hand forward. The hunters charged. Evan fired, hitting the first creature in its chest. It fell with a loud thud. Another lunged, claws sharp as knives. Evan rolled aside, firing again, hitting its leg. He ducked behind a rock as energy blasts hit the ground around him. He was outnumbered, outmatched, but he didn't stop. He fought like someone with something to protect inside the shuttle. Lyra peeked out through the window. She saw Evan fighting alone against the hunters. Her heart twisted painfully. She whispered, "He will die. Because of me." Her hand moved to her chest. Where the star crystal slept. Her people had built it to protect their worlds. Maybe it could protect Evan too. Lyra stood on shaky legs. She walked to the shuttle door, fear pounding inside her. Her whole body trembled, but she stepped out anyway. The moment she appeared, the human trader turned and grinned. "There she is." Evan shouted, "Lyra!" "No, get back inside." But Lyra shook her head. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "No, I will not hide while you fight for me." She lifted her hands. Her body began to glow, soft at first, then brighter, like a rising star. The crystal inside her awakened, responding to her fear and courage. The hunters stopped. The human trader stared in shock. Evan froze. Lyra's voice echoed softly. "I am not a weapon, but I can protect." Light burst from her body, spreading across the moon like a wave. It swept over the hunters, knocking them backward. Their armor burned. Their claws shattered. They screamed as the energy pushed them down. The human traitor raised his weapon, but the light hit him too, sending him crashing against the ship. His armor cracked. His ambition broke. And then, the light faded. Lyra collapsed. Lyra! Evan ran forward, catching her before she hit the ground. Her small body was weak, her breathing shallow. I did not want you to die, she whispered. Evan held her close. You saved me. You saved both of us. Lyra managed a tiny smile. Do you still smell like home? Evan brushed her hair gently. I hope so. She leaned her head against his chest, tired but alive. You do, she whispered. You always do. Evan carried her back into the shuttle, leaving the broken hunters behind. He held her close, promising himself that he would protect her from everything that came next. The galaxy had taken her home, but she had found a new one with him.